Hello and welcome to today's episode. I'm really glad you're here, because we're going to talk about something that almost everyone struggles with at some point in life: caring too much about what other people think. Maybe you've had moments when you wanted to say something but stayed silent because you were afraid of being judged. Or maybe you chose not to wear certain clothes, not to post something online, or even not to follow a dream, simply because you worried about other people's opinions. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. In today's episode, we'll explore why we care so much about what others think, how this habit can hold us back, and most importantly, practical ways to start caring less and living more freely. By the end of this episode, I hope you'll feel lighter, more confident, and ready to make decisions based on your own values, not someone else's expectations. Let's start with a simple truth: humans are social beings. Since ancient times, being accepted by the group was necessary for survival. If someone was rejected by their tribe, they were in real danger. So our brains developed to care deeply about what others think of us. This means that worrying about other people's opinions is not a personal weakness, it's a natural human reaction. However, the world has changed. Today, we are not in danger if someone doesn't like our hairstyle or disagrees with our career choice. But our brains still react as if rejection is a serious threat. This is why a small negative comment can feel so painful, even if logically we know it shouldn't matter that much. Now, let's think about how caring too much about others' opinions can affect our lives. When we constantly try to please everyone, we start losing touch with what we truly want. We may choose safe options instead of exciting ones. We may stay in jobs we don't enjoy or avoid expressing our real personality. Over time, this can lead to frustration, stress, and even regret. Imagine looking back at your life in 20 or 30 years and realizing that you made many important decisions based not on your own dreams, but on what you thought others expected from you. That is a very heavy feeling, and it's something many people experience. So how can we start changing this pattern? The first step is awareness. You need to notice when you are making a decision mainly because of other people's opinions. Ask yourself simple questions like, do I really want this, or am I doing it to avoid criticism, or if nobody judged me, what would I choose right now? These questions help you separate your true desires from social pressure. Another important idea is to remember that most people are not thinking about you as much as you think. It may sound a bit surprising, but it's true. Everyone is busy thinking about their own problems, their own appearance, and their own life. Just like you sometimes worry about how others see you, they are also worrying about how others see them. This means that the attention you imagine from others is often much smaller in reality. For example, you might feel nervous walking into a room because you think everyone will notice your clothes or your hairstyle. But in reality, most people will only look at you for a few seconds and then return to their own thoughts. Realizing this can be very freeing. It shows that the spotlight we feel on us is often just in our imagination. Let's also talk about criticism. Many people are afraid of what others think because they fear being criticized. Criticism can hurt, especially if it comes from someone important to us. But not all criticism is equal. Some criticism is useful and helps us grow, while other criticism is simply someone's personal opinion, mood, or insecurity. Learning to tell the difference is a powerful skill. When you receive criticism, you can ask yourself, is there something I can learn from this? If the answer is yes, then you can use that feedback to improve. But if the criticism is unfair, rude, or not based on facts, you have the right to ignore it. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Another useful mindset is understanding that you cannot control what others think, no matter how hard you try. Even if you behave perfectly, some people will still misunderstand you or dislike you. This is simply part of life. Trying to please everyone is like trying to control the weather. You can spend a lot of energy on it, but you will never fully succeed. Instead of trying to control other people's opinions, it is much more productive to focus on what you can control: your actions, your values, and your reactions. When you make decisions based on your own principles, you start building a strong sense of self. And when you are confident in who you are, other people's opinions lose some of their power over you. Let's talk about a practical exercise you can try. Think of a small action you've been avoiding because you're worried about what others might think. It could be wearing a certain outfit, sharing your opinion in a meeting, or posting something meaningful on social media. Choose something that is a little uncomfortable but not too scary. Then do it anyway. After you do it, observe what actually happens. In many cases, you will see that nothing terrible happens. People may not react at all, or their reactions may be much kinder than you expected. This kind of real-life experience helps your brain learn that the danger you imagined is not real. Another helpful strategy is to limit how much you compare yourself to others, especially online. Social media often shows only the best moments of people's lives, their successes, their travels, their perfect photos. When we compare our everyday life to someone else's highlight reel, we start feeling that we are not good enough. This makes us care even more about others' opinions because we start measuring our value through their approval. To reduce this effect, you can be more selective about what you watch and who you follow. Choose content that inspires you instead of making you feel insecure. And remember that what you see online is usually not the full story. Everyone has struggles, doubts, and imperfect days, even if they don't show them. Let's also discuss the importance of self-acceptance. When you accept yourself, including your strengths and your weaknesses, you become less dependent on other people's approval. This doesn't mean thinking you are perfect. It means understanding that you are a work in progress, just like everyone else, and that your value as a person is not decided by other people's opinions. You can practice self-acceptance by changing the way you talk to yourself. Pay attention to your inner voice. Is it kind and supportive, or is it critical and harsh? If you often say things to yourself like, "I'm so stupid," or "I always mess things up," you are creating an environment inside your own mind that is already full of judgment. In that situation, it is natural that you fear judgment from others too. Try to replace negative self-talk with more balanced and compassionate thoughts. For example, instead of saying "I failed," "I'm terrible," you can say, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from it and do better next time." This simple change can reduce your fear of making mistakes in front of others. Another point to remember is that people's opinions often say more about them than about you. Someone who criticizes others all the time may be dealing with their own insecurity or frustration. Someone who judges your choices may simply not understand your situation or your values. Their reaction is influenced by their experiences, not just by your actions. This perspective can help you take things less personally. Instead of thinking, "They think I'm wrong, so I must be wrong," you can think, "They see things differently because they have a different background and different priorities." This creates emotional distance and helps you stay calm and confident. It is also helpful to build a circle of supportive people around you. While we should not depend on everyone's approval, having a few trusted friends or family members who respect and encourage you is very important. These are the people whose opinions can be valuable because they truly care about your well-being. When you feel supported by a small group, you become less worried about the judgments of strangers or distant acquaintances. Let's talk about mistakes, because fear of making mistakes in public is a big reason why people care so much about others' opinions. But mistakes are not only normal, they are necessary for learning and growth. Every skilled person you admire has made many mistakes to reach their current level. The difference is that they continued anyway. If you allow the fear of looking foolish to stop you from trying new things, you also stop yourself from improving. But when you accept that mistakes are part of the process, you become more willing to take risks. And each time you survive a mistake and realize the world did not end, your confidence grows. You might also find it useful to think about whose opinions truly matter to you. Not everyone's opinion should have the same weight. A random person on the internet does not know your life, your struggles, or your goals. Why should their opinion have the same importance as the opinion of someone who knows you well and wants the best for you? You can imagine your mind as a room with limited space. You can only let in a certain number of voices. If you fill that room with the opinions of everyone, it becomes noisy and confusing. But if you choose carefully whose voices you allow inside, you can keep your mental space calmer and clearer. Another helpful idea is to focus on your long-term goals instead of short-term approval. Sometimes we avoid doing something important because we want to avoid temporary discomfort or criticism. But if you keep your bigger goals in mind, it becomes easier to accept small moments of judgment. For example, if your goal is to become better at public speaking, you will have to speak in front of people and possibly make mistakes. Some people may judge you, but each experience helps you move closer to your goal. Let's imagine two different futures. In the first future, you always choose the safe option, always try to avoid criticism, and always follow what others expect. You may feel comfortable in the short term, but you might also feel bored, stuck, or unfulfilled. In the second future, you sometimes feel nervous, sometimes receive criticism, but you follow your interests, express your ideas, and try new things. Over time, you grow, learn, and build a life that feels more authentic. When you compare these two futures, it becomes clearer why learning to care less about others' opinions is so important. Before we finish, I want to remind you that this is not a change that happens overnight. If you have spent many years worrying about what others think, it is normal that you will not suddenly stop caring completely. The goal is not to become someone who ignores everyone and behaves without respect. The goal is to find a healthy balance, where you consider useful feedback but do not let fear of judgment control your life. You can start with small steps. Notice your thoughts, question your fears, take small risks, and practice being kinder to yourself. Each small step builds confidence and shows your brain that you are safe even when others may not fully approve of you. So the next time you catch yourself worrying too much about what others might think, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this fear helping me live the life I want, or is it holding me back? Often, just asking this question is enough to help you choose a braver and more honest path. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope this episode gave you some useful ideas and, more importantly, the courage to be a little more yourself in your daily life. Remember, your life is your story, and you are the one who has to live with the choices you make. Other people's opinions are just background noise compared to your own happiness and growth. Take care, be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you again in the next episode.